try different colors, try different gradients, different brushes. For brushes, there are a lot of brush libraries, and I'm just going to click on Arrow Special here. Leave that open. You'll select this path right here and apply that arrow to it, or this arrow, and notice that every time I add an arrow to that, it adds that arrow to the brush palette, and that's how I know to what extent you have actually experimented with all these things. So there's arrows. There's one set of arrows standard, pattern arrows, and then you go into the next category, which is artistic, and in artistic you've got calligraphic, and there's a variety of calligraphic choices, like if you're using a calligraphy pen. Calligraphy, a pen goes in a certain direction, the nib is cut a certain way, and depending on which direction you're going with it, you get a thicker or a thinner line, and there's a variety of those. There are some round ones, there are some oval ones. Okay, so calligraphic, chalk. Well, I like chalk, but I want blue chalk. So I'm going to select this in blue and do a little chalk brushing there. Or I can apply any of these to the object that I have drawn. A lot of chalk. Artistic ink. Again, you can paint with these, or you can apply them to existing strokes. And notice some of them are quite large compared to the point size of the stroke. And again, everything that I try gets added in there. Artistic paintbrushes. And again, don't do it all in black. Pick different colors. So there's a brush. There's a brush. Can't use a gradient on it. Scroll pen. The scroll pen can be kind of interesting. And there's a number of different scroll pens for different effects. And again, this is a 1-point rule, or 1-point stroke, but it is actually huge in comparison to my path. So you could make that smaller. You can also edit these, and the way you edit them, the ones in the library don't change, but on your brushes palette, note I've got this selected, this is highlighted, so that's this one. I could open this up and change this from fixed width to something that changes with the pressure I apply. If I've got a stylus, I don't, or the tilt or the bearing of the rotation. Let's try rotation and give that a little bit of variation to it. I'm going to make it smaller than 100% because I already know this thing's very large. And I can change the color to be tints and shades, or a hue shift. Let's try that, and I'll apply that to my existing stroke, and you see that got smaller. And if I change the color of it, okay, so that's scroll pen, or one of many scroll pens. Watercolor, the watercolor one can make some nice effects. Let's try this one and the brush. Or this brush, or that brush, or this one, or that one, or this one. There are borders, dashed borders. You could try a couple of these. I wouldn't get carried away with them. I think it's more useful to learn how to use some of the artistic brushes rather than this stuff. But you know, it's good to know that these are here and you can try some of those. Decorative borders, frames. Some of these frames use pictorial elements that might unnecessarily increase the file size. Geometric borders, indigenous borders, and there's a variety of those. Line borders, novelty borders, and bristle brushes. And there are a number of bristle brushes. This one by default is in your brush palette. That's a mop. I thought it was a fan, but it's a mop. Deerfoot, dome, stipple. If I was stippling, I'd be doing it like this, just click, 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 because that's how one stipples, and that might be interesting for something. We have a liner, a spotter, a round brush. Try some of those. Oh, that's the fan down there. Okay, so this is a fan, whereas this is a mop. I don't see that much difference. Decorative banners. You probably won't want this wrapped around an ice cream cone or whatever your drawing happens to be. For example, if I stick this on, that's a little strange for an ice cream cone or one of these things. But those are more useful, say, in a graphic layout, a poster or something like that, packaging perhaps, where you want that kind of effect. And I'm just going to take an ellipse and then delete the bottom anchor point and then apply any of these banners to that ellipse, and you can see how that would be commercially useful. Not sure about these. They're a little strange for that particular shape. Decorative scatter. We're going to do that in part B. Decorative dividers. Again, these are things that you would probably be more likely to use in an ad layout where you're using it to divide some text. You could try those on a path, but it'll probably be sort of strange. Let me show you some examples from previous semester's demonstrations. Again, this is the one I started with. So here you see a variety of brush types and different colors, and in some cases you can see that I've gone in with a different brush and added some little splashes of color to kind of give the shape of the ice cream cone more definition, but in some cases they're just treated graphically like a logo or a cartoon or something that might be on a very simple poster or as a symbol. This one's a bird. There's your assignment. Draw a simple interpretation of one of those objects in the image folder, minimalist interpretation of the object, and then make 12 copies of it. So there's one. So you start dragging first, then hold the Shift key to keep it in alignment, and then hold the Alt key and let go. I get a duplicate. Command D, I get another duplicate. I can take these three and drag them down this way. Hold the Shift key to constrain direction, and then the Alt key, and then let go of everything. And then Command D, and those fit on the page. If they don't fit on the page, it comes out this way. Okay, well, no problem. Then just select them all, hold the Shift key to constrain, and scale it to fit back onto the page. I'm going to undo that because I happen to like my examples here. Once you have 12 copies, try the different brushes and different fills, and do more than 12. Try it over and over again, but decide which final 12 you want to present as the best, most interesting strokes and fills that you have created. In the bottom row, try at least one gradient mesh. So this is a gradient fill. This is a gradient mesh. That's created with the mesh tool. That's this little strange thing over here in your tool panel that looks like a road map. What happens when you do this is you lose the stroke on the object. I'm just going to do this on maybe one of these birds. Actually, I've done it on those birds. I'll do it on this bird right here, one of these little guys. And this one here, I'm going to put a stroke. It has a stroke on it. I'm going to get a fatter stroke so you can see it. So there it is with a stroke. Maybe I should make that a lighter color. Okay, when you use the mesh tool, come over here with, I'm going to select the mesh tool. I'm going to just click someplace on this bird, and you can see it has a mesh now, but it has also eliminated the stroke, so you don't get a stroke and a mesh. The reason for these strange lines is it has split the difference between anchor points up here and anchor points down there. If I click in here or here, it continues dividing it. Once it's divided that way, I can take my swatches from my swatch palette. If I drop a swatch in someplace, it blends from one cell to another. And these are editable, so if I would prefer this to blend over this way more like that, or I want to change this blend down here this way, or get more purple into that area, and move this over. So you paint with different colors in an area by dropping color onto the cells of the mesh that you've created and change how they blend by moving anchor points or by grabbing the actual cell wall and pulling on it. Try some of that and maybe you can get that to be a nice painterly effect. Maybe not, I don't know. This one here, this is just a gradient. Bottom row, try at least one, maybe two gradient mesh fills using the mesh tool, and you can try different gradients. This particular one alternates with these two browns, and it's a radial gradient. It's stretched vertically about 150%. You could change that. So squash it down this way, but maybe 200. So that's project 3A.